remembers their childhood? Can you recall a moment in your childhood, whether good or bad, that shaped you, or that stands out? In many ways, what happens in our childhood can make us or break us. I remember a moment in my childhood that stands out for me. I was 7 years old. As you may imagine, I was much shorter then, with a lot more hair. I'm not exactly sure what happened to the hair part, but that's not the point. I was standing in the hallway of my childhood home, contemplating whether or not to awake my mother, who was sound asleep in her bedroom. See, I had this burning question on the inside of me. Somehow I mustered up the courage. I walked into my mother's bedroom and tapped her on her shoulder. And I asked this question: Mom, why am I adopted? With a confused look on her face, she responded with, because you didn't have a home. I left out that room thinking, well, that explains a lot. It really didn't. See, my biological mother left me at the hospital. I was immediately placed into foster care. And by the age of 4, I was adopted by an African-American family. See, by age 7, I had this burning question on the inside of me. Why am I adopted? By a show of hands, who remembers their teenage years? In many ways, what happens during our teenage years can shape us. Can you recall a moment during your teenage years that shaped you? I remember I was 16 years old. As you might imagine, I was much taller now. And at this particular moment, I started to lose my hair, but that's not the point either. I was 16 years old. I was in the kitchen making cheese toast, of all things. I love cheese toast. But I'm not the best cook. I know, shocker, right? The cheese toast started to burn. And then my sister walked into the kitchen. We began to get into this argument. She said these words: I'm really not your sister. This is really not your home. And Mom is really not your mom. Shook me to my core. Just rocked me. By a show of hands, who remembers adulthood? Right? In many ways, adulthood can be scary. It can be terrifying. But what happens in our adulthood can also produce some of life's biggest lessons. See, I was 18 years old and I got kicked out. When you are adopted, you receive financial assistance from the government. And at 18, that money stops. So I was kicked out. And for 2 years, I tried to make ends meet. I tried to provide a roof over my head. And at 21, I was adopted by a Taiwanese family. Yes, you heard that right. A Taiwanese family. They got me into college, paid for college, got me a car, paid for my car, got me an apartment, paid for my apartment. Literally changed the trajectory of my life. But something was missing. I still was searching for home. See, in my childhood, I was searching for home. During my teenage years, I was searching for home. And with all of the love and the kindness from my Taiwanese family, I was still searching for home. A couple of years ago, when I had a conversation with my Taiwanese brother, and I was reflecting on the past, I became depressed. And he said, Johnny, it doesn't matter what happened in your past. We love you. You're here, right now. Your future is bright. And in that conversation, I learned this. This is what I want to leave you with, fellow Toastmasters. It doesn't matter where we come from. It doesn't matter where we were born. It doesn't matter whether we had good parents, whether we had bad parents. It doesn't matter what happened in your childhood. It doesn't matter what happened during your teenage years. It doesn't even matter what's happening right now in your life. Know this, that the future is forward. And that, my friends, is where home is. Madam Toastmaster.